My wife had her bodyguard slap me 3 times across the face, and only then did her male bestie calm down and leave. She tossed me 300 grand right after point 100K. Birzlep. I didn't make a scene. The next day that she found my desk empty, HR told her he just filed for 15 days of marriage leave. I am Shending Shao. Right now, I look like a random extra who wandered onto the wrong set, standing in the glitzy, hedonistic suits. Ideation Club. Tonight's supposed to be my 3rd wedding anniversary with Sumanzing. No candlelight dinner in front of me, just confetti scraps all over the floor, and a crowd of high society elites pointing and whispering about me. Su Man-ching stood right in the middle of the crowd in a custom fire red, backless gown like a fully bloomed rose, lined with poison thorns. Next to her was Lu Ziyang, her male bestie who'd been back in the country for less than 2 weeks. Ling shouted, for God's sake, how many times do I have to tell you? Tonight's Ziyang's welcome home and birthday party. Can you stop yapping about your stupid anniversary? Suman. Ching's voice cut like shards of ice, scraping glass, thick with unmasked disgust. I was still holding an elegant gift box in my hand. Inside was a custom necklace I'd saved up 3 years of personal cash for and pulled tons of strings to get. I looked at her calmly. Man-ching, the party's almost over. I waited 5 hours for you at home. This is our 3rd anniversary. That's where you're wrong. Lu Ziyang, slinging an arm around Su Man-ching's shoulder like it was the most natural thing in the world. His tone cocky and provocative. Man-ching bailed on her own Grandpa's dinner just to celebrate my homecoming today. You're a grown man, obsessing over these silly little sentimental dates. No wonder Man-ching always says you've got no ambition. I glanced at his hand on her shoulder. She didn't push him away. Instead, she looked at Lu Ziyang softly at all. Concerned, Ziyang ignore him. He's useless. Can't be helped. Didn't you say he ruined your mood just now? Lu Zion faked a frustrated sigh. Yeah, Man Shanki. Cut in right before we finished our dance. Total buzzkill. Suman Jeng's eyes went ice cold instantly. She turned to Ah Long, the bodyguard who'd been standing by the whole time. He was sent by the Su family, jacked with a cold Vishu stare. Her voice was completely flat, and no emotion at all. Zion's upset. Help Mr. Shin sober up a little. The entire room went dead silent. Immediately, a few people even snickered, clearly enjoying the show. I knew what Ah Long was capable of, and I knew Su Man-ching's temper better than anyone, but I never thought she'd humiliate her own husband in front of a whole crowd, all because Lu Zion said he was annoyed. Long walked up to me, face blank. He was half a head taller than me, his shadow casting a suffocating weight over me. Sorry for this, Mr. Shun. The first slap landed hard and loud. My head snapped to the side. Half my face went numb instantly, then burned like fire. Warm blood trickled from the corner of my mouth. That's for being a clueless idiot, Su Man-ching said coldly. The second slap came right after, even harder. My brain went completely blank, my ears ringing. Through blurred vision, I saw Lu Zion leaning on the couch, holding a glass of red wine, watching my humiliation like it was a primetime show. That's 4, ruining Zion's night. When the 3rd slap hit, I could barely stay on my feet. I stumbled back 2 steps, slamming into the edge of the cold dining table. The gift box slipped from my hand and hit the floor. The ribbon came loose, and the sparkling necklace slid out, covered in dust and spilled champagne. You could hear a pin drop in the club. The only sound was Lu Zion's slow, lazy clapping. Man Chung, you're the only one who cares. About me, he stood up with a grin, glancing at me like I was some pathetic stray he was taking pity on. All right, seeing Shinji like this. I'm over it. I'll head out first. Manching to see you at the office tomorrow. Su Manching saw Lu Zhong off softly and only turned around when the front door clicked shut. She looked down at me, who was crouching on the floor, picking up the necklace like I was dirt under her. Shoo, there was not a single trace of guilt in her eyes, only endless boiling irritation. She opened her purse, pulled out 3 sealed stacks of cash, roughly 300 grand total, and threw them straight in my face. Bills scattered everywhere. A few even landed right on the corner of my bleeding mouth. Then she pulled out her phone, long, slender fingers tapping the screen a few times. Stoka per slaptechkateha ate esistaka. Total 200K just hit your account. The remaining 100K covers your medical bills. Su Manching's tone was ice cold, like she was wrapping up some trivial, meaningless deal. Shenling Xiao, don't play the victim in front of me. You've eaten the Su family's food that lived under the Su family's roof for 3 whole years. 300K is more than someone of your class makes in a lifetime. Take the money and off. Stop making a fool of yourself here. I kept my head down, fingertips brushing the cold surface of the necklace around my neck. My face still throbbed, but the flame I'd held onto in my chest for 3 years guttered out completely right. Then I didn't lose my cool like I usually would. No pathetic begging for her forgiveness. I just reached out, picking up the banknotes off the floor. One by one, Su Manching scoffed at the sight. Of course money works best. Shunling Xiao, you're lowlife to your core. I picked up the last bill, stood up, slowed, and folded the 300K neatly before tucking it into the inner pocket of my suit. I stared at the face I once loved down my bones. It looked so alien now. It burned 300K to buy out 3 years of relationship. Pretty good deal, that I spoke calmly, my voice rough but rock steady. Suman. Chung frowned, clearly thrown off by my reaction. In her head, I should have been screaming, crying, or lashing out in anger, not standing there, with eyes so cold they made her skin prickle with unease. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing much. I tossed the dirty necklace into the trash, without a second thought and no hesitation. No lingering fondness. Sumanjeng, have fun with your boy best friend. I ignored her face, turning livid on the spot, turned on my heel and headed for the exit, walking out of the CU club. The cool early autumn wind hit my swollen, stinging face, and my mind felt sharper than it ever had. I pulled out my phone, blocked all of Su Mancheng's contact, then scrolled to the very bottom of my address book to a number I'd never called. I sent a text. This is Xin Ling Xiao. Project Ling Xiao is officially a go. Also, to get me the top-tier divorce agreement in the city. The reply came almost instantly. President Shin, we've waited 3 whole years for this day. Everything is in place. We are at your command whenever you need us. I put my phone away, glancing back at the glitzy building behind me. Su Manchung, that you think you're on top of the world, that you can trample my dignity whenever you want. You have no idea how much of my edge I held back. These 3 years, all for that so-called life-saving favor and that ridiculous promise. If you think 300K can buy everything, that I'll show you what the real price tag looks like. When I got home, I skipped the master bedroom and went straight to the study. I pulled a custom-made laptop from the hidden compartment behind the bookshelf. After unlocking it with my fingerprint, that dense lines of data and charts flashed wildly across the screen. These were the core operation metrics of the Sioux group from the past 3 years, the empire I'd built for her with my own two hands, a Sioux. Manching's secret behind the scenes. Strategist, but that I'd saved a backup. Plan. Every critical contract, that every key. Client account had a logic lock, embedded that only I could crack. I opened the annual leave request system, typed 4 calm words and a reason. Field point 15 day. Marriage leave. Su Man Xing. When you see my desk empty tomorrow, I hope you can still laugh as loud and arrogant as you did tonight. It was late. I sat by the window staring at the city lights in the distance. The pain from the 3 slaps had long gone numb. Replaced by a rush of freedom, like breaking out of a cocoon. I'll use this 300K as seed funding. In a month, the Sioux group will pay back 100,000 times over. Tomorrow, the show's just getting started. Early next morning at SU Group headquarters, Su Manching stormed into the open plan office in 10 centimeters red-soled. Stilettos that stepped sharp and fast. Her face was thunder. That icy glare shone. Ling Xiao had shot her before he left. Last night had kept her up for the first time ever. It felt like the docile house dog she'd raised for 3 years had morphed into a silent lone wolf in the dead of night. The eyes locked on her throat right before it bolted. Where is Shun? Ling Xiao? Tell him to get his ass to my office now. Su Manching tossed her bag at her assistant as she passed the admin department, barking the order without glancing back. But that the figure she'd expected to see, the guy who always showed up half an hour early, to who had her perfect temperature latte ready every single day, that was nowhere to be found. Half an hour later, Su Manching was fuming in her office. She slammed the intercom button, voice tight with rage. Where the hell is Shun Ling Xiao? Did he drop dead somewhere? Her assistant Xiao Wang's voice shook on the other end of the line. President Su. Brother, Shin's desk is empty. All his personal stuff looks like it's been cleared out. Su Manchung shot to her feet, flung open her office door, and marched straight to Shin Ling Zhao's desk. It used to hold her favorite potted plant, plus the stomach meds he kept stocked for her gastritis. Now it was completely bought. Only an empty water cup printed with the Sioux Group logo and a printed note were left. She snatched the note. It had one cold line scrawled on it. Annual leave application approved. Annual leave? Who the hell gave him permission to take time off right now? Suman Cheng Loghid Biteli Sitting. Sioux Group was in the middle of critical negotiation talks with Gu Group as the data core of the project team. Shenling Xiao bailing now was beyond ridiculous. She dialed Shenling Zhao's number. Immediately, only a cold automated message played back. Sorry that the number you have dialed is not in service. Not in service? Suman Zheng froze. Getting blocked and a number being decommissioned are two completely different things. That meant right after Shenling Xiao left last night, he'd canceled the number he'd used for 3 whole years. A blind rage surged through her. She spun on her heel and stormed into the HR department. The office was swamped with work. HR Director Lin Jia spotted her marching in all fury and scrambled to his feet to greet her. President Su, what brings you here in person? Who approved Shenling Zhao's leave request? Su Manchung slammed the note on the counter, snarling. No one signs off on his leave without my signature. Tell him to get his ass back here right now, or he's fired for unexcused absence. Lin Jia jumped in fright. He pushed his glasses up to expression, turning odd as he stammered. President. Sue. We didn't approve Mr. Shun's leave. He applied through the Green Channel Inn, the system that connects directly to the top board of directors. The top board? Him? That live-in son-in-law? Sue. Man Chung thought it was absolutely ludicrous. Lin Jia pulled up an electronic file with a strained look, pointing at the approval signature on it. Look here, President Suit, the approver is that anonymous majority shareholder who holds 40% of the group's shares that and Mr. Shun didn't apply for. Regular annual leave. He applied for. Marriage leave, 15 days total. A loud buzz exploded in Su Man Ching's head, like something had just shattered inside. Her skull. Marriage leave, we've been married for 3 years. What marriage leave is he talking about? We don't know the details of that, ma'am. Lin Jia mumbled under his breath. Mr. Shun submitted the application at 11 p.m. last night. That majority shareholder approved it instantly at 11:01 p.m. And in his handover report, he mentioned he's revoked all personal asset guarantees under your name. Suiman Ching stumbled on her feet. Asset guarantees? 3 years ago, that when Su Group was on the brink of a debt crisis, that IT was Shunling Xiao, who used a mysterious offshore trust fund as collateral to secure the bank loan. She'd gotten so used to his quiet contributions over the years that she'd almost forgotten Shunling Xiao's behind-the-scenes capital operations were the single most critical factor that got Su Group where it was today. President Su, we have a problem. Assistant Wong came bursting in that panic, written all over his face. The reps from Story Group just sent an official notice. They're pausing all partnership talks because our lead data architect is MIA. And they're questioning our textability. Just then that Lu Xiong walked in wearing a flashy white suit. He caught sight of Su Manching's frazzled look and snorted in disdain. Chill, Manching. It's just Shun Ling Xiao. Why are you losing your mind over him? If he bailed, I'll get my family to send over a couple top engineers. And oh, big deal. You know, nothing. Su Manching snapped at Lu Jiong for the first time ever. She was spoiled, not stupid. Every line of Su Group's back-end code and customer logic framework was built by no one else could wrap their head around that insanely complex algorithm of his. What freaked her out even more were the 2 words on his leave form. Marriage leave. That doormat, that yes man who'd taken her 300,000 renminbi and vanished without a trace the next day. He was taking marriage leave. Who was he? Marrying? Lin Jia. Dig everything up on him. Su Manching gritted her teeth, gaze fixed on Shun Ling Xiao's empty desk. Pull all his bank statements. Track every person he's interacted with lately. I want to see if that bastard can actually fly now that he's cut off from the Su family. Across town, Shun Ling Xiao was sitting in the back of a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. He'd changed into a perfectly tailored dark gray suit, his previously messy hairstyle neatly to show off his smooth, broad forehead. A fountain pen in hand, he signed his name on a thick stack of documents. Behind, the wheel was along the bodyguard, who'd slapped him across the face just the night before. Not a trace of his usual arrogance left. He kept glancing at Shin Ling Xiao's expression through the rearview mirror. Voice trembling with desperation. Mr. Shun, no, clears throat. President Shin. I was only following orders last night when Su Mashing was there. For those 3 slaps, I'll cut off 3 of my own fingers too. Apologize. Okay. Shin Ling Xiao closed the file. His fingers brushing lightly over the 300,000 renminbi bank card. His Tone was flat, completely devoid of emotion. Those 3 slaps wiped out the last of my goodwill towards the Sioux family. Ah, long you didn't do wrong. You did me a favor. If that slap hadn't been hard enough, I would have waited another 3 months to launch the plan. He turned to look at the city scenery. Flying past a window, Sue Manching thinks 300K bought my dignity. She has no idea that 300K is the money I set aside for her grave. The car pulled up smoothly in front of the city's most high-end custom wedding dress studio to A. Stunning. I see an elegant woman was waiting at the entrance when she saw Shen Lingxiao get out of the car that she smiled so bright. It outshone everything else around her. Mr. Shan, that I've been waiting for you. The pause notice from Story Group was sent out exactly as you ordered. Shan, Lingxiao nodded slightly, that his eyes dark and unreadable. Good work, Miss Gu. For the next part of this wedding show that we need to make it even more convincing. Back at the company, Su Mashing was still frantically digging for any leads on Shen Lingxiao's whereabouts. She had no idea that a massive dragnet targeting the Su family had already been quietly cast. The very foundation of her prize Su group was crumbling inch by inch the second Shen Lingxiao walked out the door. Jade, manner that normally an exclusive private estate, was packed with luxury cars. Today, security was at maximum level. Every guest allowed and had a net worth of at least 1 billion renminbi. Sue Mashing sat in her red Ferrari at her long fingers white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Shen Lingxiao's sudden absence had frozen the Sioux group's partnership project with the Gu group dead in its tracks. All technical ports were locked. Losses were piling up at a rate of 1 million renminbi per hour. Mashing calmed down. A loser like Shen Lingxiao could never get into Jade. Manner. Lu Xiong sat beside her, adjusting his tie with a sneer. He's probably just messing with your GPS to lead you here just to see you lose your cool over him. Only some insecure loser would pull that kind of hard to get. Garbage. Su Mashing said nothing that her eyes fixed on the giant digital welcome sign at the manor entrance. The words, Group Strategic Launch and Miss Gu, Chinese Engagement Banquet scrolled across it nonstop. No way he's that capable. She gritted her teeth and shoved the car door open. She wasn't just here to get Shen Lingxiao back and reclaim her tech access. She was here to call his bluff in person. How the hell would a deadbeat son-in-law who preened over a lousy 300K ever make it into the Gu family's inner circle? But when Su Manchin reached the ticket checkpoint, she got stopped cold. Sorry, Mrs. Su, your invitation isn't high enough grade for the main banquet hall. The security guard stepped in front of her, polite, but ice cold. Excuse me, Su Manchin's eyes blew wide. I'm the CEO of Su Group. I'm here for my husband, Shen Lingxiao. I saw him walking just now. The two security guards exchanged looked at a weird flicker of pity crossing their faces. Ms. Samere. Shen entered as Old Master Gu's VIP guest of honor with a black gold all-access pass. As for you, that your company's currently on credit risk watch. The Gu Group has revoked your special invitation. The words landed like a hard slap across Su Manchin's face. Impossible. Where the hell would he get a black gold pass? Su Manchin was about to blow up when a commotion broke out further inside the estate. Two figures were walking slowly down the manor's white marble steps, surrounded by a crowd of attendants. Leading the pack was Gu Wanshan, head of Gu Consortium, the normally stern, intimidating tycoon who only ever showed up on financial news, was standing half a step behind the young man next to him, speaking to him with obvious deference. The young man wore a dark suit with subtle patterns straight as a pine tree. Every move he made carried the steady, quiet authority of someone born to lead. It was Shin Lingxiao. Su Manchin rubbed her eyes, staring in disbelief at the man who used to wear an apron at home and wash her socks for her. Right now, he radiated cold, unapproachable nobility. His presence, even more overwhelming than Gu Wanshan's. Next to him, standing on his other side, was Gu Chining, that known as the goddess of the business world. She was holding his arm, that smiling sweetly. The two of them looked like they were made for each other. Shun Lingxiao, that Eshimashing, screamed, ditching all decorum as she tried to break through the security line. Stop right there. What do you mean? Locking me out of the company's systems? You took marriage leave just to hook up. With this underscore, her scream shattered the elegant atmosphere of the banquet. Every guest stopped talking, all eyes. Slaking go sumanching. Shun Lingxiao stopped and turned around, his expression as blank as if he were looking at a total stranger. He patted Gu Chining's hand lightly to tell her to wait, then walked toward the security barrier. With every step he took, Su Mashing felt a suffocating, invisible pressure closing in on her. Cut the crap, Shun Lingxiao. Lu Xiong yelled from the side. You stole Su Group's trade secrets and sold them to the Gus, didn't you? I knew. You were a greedy piece of underscore 300K. Wasn't enough for you. So you decided to go for the big score, huh? Shun Lingxiao stopped 3 steps away from them. He ignored Lu Xiong entirely. His gaze fixed calmly on Sunun Tai Madching. MS. Su, mind your manners in public. His voice was deep, smooth, and icy. None of the old groveling left in it. MS. Su Mashing was shaking with rage. Don't you forget, Shin Lingxiao, you're still my husband in name. You show up to a place like this with another woman on your arm. Did you even think about the Su family's reputation? A sneer tugged at the corner of Shun Lingxiao's mouth. He fished out a neat stack of 100 yuan bills from his pocket, the exact sum Su Mashing had slapped across his face the night before. He flicked his wrist and bills fluttered down like snow, drawing gasps from the surrounding guests. I haven't even blown through the 300K yet. Shun Lingxiao's tone was dead calm. I donated the remaining 200K to the stray dog shelter outside the manor, under Miss Su's name. Oh, that and reputation, you didn't seem to give a damn about that when you ordered your bodyguard to slap me in public last night, did you? You got something else to say? Shin Lingxiao cut off the man, about to speak, that his icy gaze sweeping past him to land on Lu Xiang behind. That top secret Mr. Lu's been going on about? You mean the algorithm I wrote from scratch for Su Group? It's my property. Why the hell can't I take it back? Gu Xining walked over gracefully, slipping her arm through Shun Lingxiao's. Naturally, her voice was soft, but every word dripped with venom. Man King Long, time no see. I was going to invite you to my engagement party. But Lingxiao said you've been swamped lately. Probably busy digging your way out of Su Group's looming debt crisis, right? Figured I shouldn't bother. Su Manxing was struck dumb as if hit by lightning. Shun Lingxiao had filed for marriage leave. He was actually marrying Gu Xining. No, that can't be. He was just a useless live-in son-in-law. What gives? She stumbled back, dazed, muttering, what gives? Over and over under her breath. Gu Wanshan stepped forward at that moment, his voice deep and booming. What gives? Mr. Shun is Gu Group's largest technology shareholder. And he once saved Xining's life. Instead of wasting time here causing a scene, that you might want to check your company's stock price. 5 minutes ago, Lingxiao Capital, owned entirely by Mr. Shun, officially, pulled all credit guarantees for Sue. Group, Sue Manching's phone buzzed like crazy all of a sudden. She answered with shaking hands and her secretary's desperate, sobbing voice blared through. The speaker, Meso Erescrode, the bank just froze all our operating accounts because we lost a credit. Guarantee, all the suppliers heard. Engineers should quit. They're crowding the lobby demanding immediate payment. The project Mr. Liu was in charge of blew up. 2. Engineers should planted a logic bomb. In it, all our capital's tied up. We can't get a penny out. Her phone clattered to the floor. She looked up at Shun Ling Xiao only to see he'd already turned to leave. His broad back looked impossibly distant in the sunlight. Like he'd never belonged to that tiny, suffocating cage called the Su family. Sen Ling Xiao Su Mankin screamed, trying to chase after him. But was stopped by along the same bodyguard who'd followed her orders last night. He was now in Gu family uniform, his tone cold and robotic. Emesisubihov, yourself. Mr. Shun says each slap costs 100K. What you owe him, you've barely started paying it back. Sumankin collapsed to the ground, staring at the banknotes swirling in the air. They'd once been her weapon to humiliate Shun Ling Xiao. Now they look like confetti for some sick, absurd funeral. Ma Xiang, tea house sits in a quiet old concession area tucked away from the city's bustle, its gray bricks and red. This used to be Su Manching's go-to spot, to bring Lu Ziang for their pretentious high culture outings. But today the private room was ice cold. Su Manching sat on a pearwood chair, her once flawless makeup now smudged and haggard, staring daggers at Shinling Xiao across the table as he brewed tea at a leisurely pace. In just 3 days, Shinling Xiao was unrecognizable. He wore a tailored dark blue mandarin collar, shirt sleeves rolled up slightly to reveal a vintage Patek Philippe on his wrist. A gift from Gu Wanshan at the engagement ceremony. A symbol of the Gu family's full, unreserved acceptance of him. What the hell do you want? Shun Ling Xiao. Su Manching took a deep breath, fighting to steady her pounding heart. Just minutes earlier, that SU group stock had hit the limit down. Worse, the 3 large municipal projects that kept the company afloat had been abruptly suspended over underlying data logic conflicts. General Manager Zhao, who ran these projects, was waiting outside the tea house, pacing like a cat on a hot dinzup. Shun Ling Xiao didn't look up, sliding a teacup across the table. The bright green liquor sloshed inside the white porcelain cup. Try this year's Shifeng Longjing. Back when I stayed with the Su family, I only got a drink. The leftover dregs you tossed out. Turns out the good stuff only tastes right when you're in a good mood. Cut the crap. Sumanjing Slamet Hadfeast on the table. You deliberately left a back door in the code, didn't you? You planned to destroy Su Group this whole time. Shun Ling Xiao. I never knew you were this calculating. You put on one hell of a show these past 3 years. Acting. Shun Ling Xiao finally lifted his gaze. There was no anger in his deep eyes, only cold, hollow detachment from seeing right through her. Sumankin tres. Years ago, when your dad was critically ill and Su Group was getting gutted by competitors, I pumped 300 million in through an anonymous shell under Lingxiao Capital. That's the only reason you kept your CEO spot. How many all-nighters did I pull for you? These 3 years fixing your algorithms, fighting off how many commercial lawsuits? You think those big contracts landed in your lap just because Lu Ziang bought you a few glasses of wine? Su Manching froze, her face draining of color instantly. You're saying that 300 Million was your investment? No way. Where would you get that kind of money? You thought 300K was enough to buy my dignity? For God's sake, point 300. Million is way out of your league. Obviously, Shen Lingxiao scoffed. The private room door swung open. Lawyer, Zhao. Legal counsel for Sue Group. Walked. In sweating bullets. Followed by a scowling general manager Zhao. MS. Sue, we have a huge problem. He handed over a document with shaking hands. We ran the checks back when you covered Liu Xiong's overseas investment losses that you embezzled that special Randy fund without approval and the regulator for that account that it's Mr. Shan. General, Manager Zhao's face turned purple with rage, jabbing a finger right at Su Manqing's face. Su Manqing, you said. Shun Lingxiao was just a useless kept. Man, now my entire project is dead in the water. Losses are in the hundreds of millions. Mr. Shun is the head of Lingxiao Capital, and you had the balls to mess with him, beg him for mercy. Right now, or I'll sue you till you're penniless. By the end of the day, Su Manqing collapsed back into her chair instantly when she turned to look at Shan. Lingxiao, there was finally pure terror in her eyes. It was you, Lingxiao. You tricked me into embezzling that money on purpose. You made your own bed. Shan. Lingxiao's tone was flat. Liu Xiong said he needed cash. So you dipped into public funds without a second thought. Did you think the guy at that desk of mine was brain dead? You didn't even. Bote fucking a signature. Yes, Shan. Ling Xiao set down his teacup with a sharp clink. He pulled a pre-drafted agreement out of his briefcase, sliding it across the table to Su Manqing. I already signed the divorce papers. This is a share transfer letter of intent. I am buying the remaining 30% of Su Group shares you hold for 50% of market value. If you don't sign the embezzlement evidence, lawyer Zhao will be on the Anti-Corruption Bureau's desk by this afternoon. 50%? Shun Ling shouted, this is daylight robbery. Sumankin Sriakiv. Robbery? Shun Ling Xiao stood up, looking down at her from his height. Compared to you ordering your bodyguards to slap me 3 times and humiliating me with 300K, this price is practically gentlemanly. Brother Shun, Mr. Shun, I was wrong. A disheveled figure burst into the private room out of nowhere. It was Lu Zian. He didn't look anything like the rich air he used to be. Tai asked you, face deathly pale. He dropped straight to his knees at Shun, Ling Xiao's feet sobbing. Mr. Shinda, I had no idea you owned Ling Xiao Capital. I was possessed by greed. I led Mashing astray. I haven't spent all the money yet. I'll pay it back right now. Please, don't pull your investment. My creditors are waiting outside to corner me. Save me. Shun Ling Xiao kicked his hand away, in disgust, grabbing a tissue to wipe the spot on his pant leg Lu had touched. Lu trashed like he was an even worthy of being my opponent. He turned. Do Su Manqing, your little boy toys. Right here. Look at him now. This is the guy you slapped me across the face. 4. Su Manqing stared at Lu Zian, kneeling and begging for mercy. Then shifted her gaze to Shin Ling Xiao, who oozed dominating aura like a living god. Crushing regret washed over her in waves. She'd had the world's finest, most devoted man right in her palm. Yet she'd torched everything with her own hands for some useless pretty boy with nothing going for him inside. Hands shaking that she scrolled her signature on the agreement. Every stroke of the pen felt like a knife slicing through her own flesh. The second she finished signing, Shun Ling Xiao tucked the document away, not wasting a single second. As he stepped over the threshold, Su Mashing shouted after him, that marriage leave you requested, are you really marrying Gu Qingning? Yes, clears throat. Ling Xiao paused for a beat, didn't turn. Around, his voice sharp as a blade. Save your concern.ms. Su, that one. Slap for 100 grand favor we had. We squared that the other night. Starting tomorrow that SU group ceases to exist. I am absorbing it into Ling Xiao capitals. Portfolio. You're on your own. Shun. Ling Xiao strode out of the tea house. The sunlight outside was harsh. Along, pulled the car door open respectfully. Gu Chining, seated inside, that smiled softly. At him, Ling shouted at where to next? The Shin Group office. Shun Ling Xiao's gaze turned dark. Now that my cover's blown, it's time to settle all those old scores. With the big shots in the finance. Circle, the most secret underground, high leverage investment exchange, was hidden deep in an abandoned industrial park. No windows here, only harsh overhead incandescent lights, and rows of giant digital screens flashing, blood red numbers. The air reeked of cheap cigarettes, thick with the jittery buzz of sky high adrenaline. This was paradise for speculators and the guillotine for losers. Lu Jiong's eyes were bloodshot, fixed unblinkingly on the plummeting line on the screen. His shirt collar was ripped to shreds. His once perfectly gelled hair a total. Birds, nest, Palmorin, max out leverage on. All my remaining funds. Lu Jiong screamed into the phone like a madman. That piece of underscore Chen Ling Xiao thinks he can short me. Not a underscore chance. That idiot Su Manching already wired over. The last of Su Group's operating cash. As soon as this bounces back, that I'm going to grind Shin Ling Xiao under my boot. But the trader on the other end of the line, Brother Hui, that sounded ice cold. No chance. Young Master lewd at a massive, unknown capital dump just hit the market, blew straight through your stop. Loss. Your position's liquidated. Liquidated? Lu Jiong's phone clattered to the floor. He collapsed back into the moldy office chair. That was the last of Su Manching's savings, the lifeline she'd scraped together by mortgaging the Su family's ancestral home. Right then, the exchange's heavy iron door creaked open. Shin Ling Xiao walked in slowly, flanked by several black-clad bodyguards. The filth and chaos of the place clashed violently with his spotless custom suit. He looked like a god who'd wandered straight into hell. Every step oozing suffocating, judgmental weight. How does it feel, Lu? Ziang? Shun Ling Xiao stopped right behind him. His tone as casual as if he was asking about the day's weather. Lu. Ziang snapped his head around. The second he saw Shun Ling Xiao, he lunged at him like a wild animal. Shun, Ling Xiao.it was you. You set me up. That deep sea project was fake. That so-called overseas VC was your plant. You ruined me. You animal. A long step forward in. One move to grab Lu Ziang by the shoulder and slammed him face down into the table. Lu Ziang's face was pressed hard against the icy keyboard. The pressure triggered a nonstop stream of error prompts flashing across the screen. Shin Ling Xiao leaned down, staring at Lu Ziang's grotesquely twisted face. I set the trap, but your greed walked you right into it. He pulled a neatly folded IOU from his pocket and set it lightly in front of Lu Ziang. The stake. Su Manching mortgaged to you got force. Liquidated. It's mine now. You've got nothing left. On top of that, you owe the underground loan sharks 400 million. No, that's impossible. Lu Ziang's eyes were glazed over. Manching will help me. She loves me so much. Shin Ling Xiao scoffed and stepped aside. A disheveled, hollow-eyed woman walked out of the shadows. It was Su Manching. She'd clearly come with Shin Ling Xiao and had watched every second of Lu Ziang's rapid gamma breakdown. Earlier, she clutched a voice recorder Shin Ling Xiao had just handed her. It held the full recording of Lu Xiang saying he'd book a flight out of the country the second he got the money. And calling Su Manqing nothing but a walking ATM. Lu Xiang. Su Manqing's voice shook that dead quiet with total heartbreak. I threw away the last bit of dignity Shin Ling Xiao left. Me for you. I even dumped my mom's medical bills into this bottomless pit for you. And you were just going to take the money and run. Manqing. Listen to me. Shin Ling Xiao forced me to say that. He set me up. Lu Xiang screamed at thrashing against the keyboard. Shut up. Suman Vingsjung. Hard and slapped him across the face. The crack was way louder than the 3 slaps she'd given Shin Ling Xiao before. It was pure, that unhinged desperation. Shun. Ling Xiao watched the dog eat dog. Spectacle with zero emotion. He turned to the polite, that well-dressed middleman in gold-rimmed glasses standing nearby. Mr. Qian, handle Mr. Lu's debt per year. Rules. Mr. Qian gave Shin Ling Xiao a respectful bow. Rest easy. Mr. Son, we've got plenty of ways to make deadbeats like him wake up to reality in this line of work. A group of bulky thugs closed in. Lu Xiang let out a blood-curdling scream. Suman Xing moved to stop them on instinct, but Shan Ling Xiao held her down by the shoulder. His grip was iron tight. She couldn't break free no matter how hard she tried. Look closely. This is the man you chose. Shin Ling Xiao murmured in her ear. His warm breath sent an icy chill down Su Manqing's spine. How does it feel to lose everything and have everyone turn on you? Worse than those 3 slaps you gave me. Shin Ling Xiao, just kill me. Su Manqing closed, her eyes, tears streaming down her face. Why are you doing this to me? Even if I treated you badly before that, I gave you a home for 3 years, didn't I? Shin Ling Xiao let go of her, his gaze turning, sharp as a blade. A place where you treated me like a maid, a punching bag, a backdrop for you to flirt with your boy best friend. You call that a home? He pulled a document from the inner pocket of his suit, a debt contract he'd bought out from the underground brokers Lu Xiang mentioned. The Shun family's cast off earlier. Looks like he did dig up a little dirt. Su Manqing, did you really think you married me by fate? Have you never wondered 3 years ago that when the Su family was on the brink of collapse, why did a docile live-in son-in-law like me just pop up out of nowhere? Su Manqing froze. Her pupils shrank to pinpricks because the old Su family was nothing but a pigsty that the Shin family set up to test me, and you Su Manqing that you were just a human nature test subject my father picked out for me. Shin Ling Xiao's voice dropped to a cold, dark murmur. Too bad you turned in the worst possible answer. Su Manqing felt like she'd been hit by lightning. All that sense of control she'd been so proud of, all the petty humiliations she'd heaped on Shin Ling Xiao, they were all part of someone else's plan. She was the one who'd been the laughingstock this whole time. Then your fiancé, Ji, chining that now that I issued Proctor? Shin Ling Xiao turned coldly toward the exit. The test is over now. This rundown exam. Hall deserves to burn to ground. Shin Ling Xiao walked out of the exchange that Lu Xiang's howls ensue. Manqing's broken sobs echoing behind him. He stopped under the moonlight and Lia cigarette. His phone screen lit up. It was a text from Gu chining. The Manqing clan sent people over. They're waiting for you at the office. Looks like they can't wait to welcome there. Cast off back to his rightful place. Shin Ling Xiao blew out a smoke ring that icy, ambition burning in his eyes. Rightful place? Not I want the entire Shin family. Starting with that Shin Ling Xiao, the Shin group's local office. sits on the top floor Cloud Peak Tower. Unlike the gaudy, blinged out, nouveau riche aesthetic of the Sioux group, the space is decked out in muted, almost oppressive black, white, and gray tones. Sue Manching was hiding in the coffee shop across from the office, looking disheveled. She gripped the file, the private I had just handed her, the Shin family crest blaze on the cover, two crossed stiletto swords wrapped in trumpet vines. No way, there's no way. This is real, that S.U. Moshing mumbled. Her fingers brushing past page after page of jaw-dropping data. The investigation proved Shin Ling Xiao was no poor orphan. He was a legitimate eldest son of the Shin clan, the top elite family. In Beijing, 3 years ago, he'd rejected an arranged marriage from the family and voluntarily signed up for a trial period to prove himself. The so-called marrying into the Sioux family as a live-in son-in-law was actually a secret deal between Shin Jingting, that head of the Shun clan, and the Sioux families. Old patriarch, the Sioux family would provide Shin Ling Xiao with a cover identity, and the Shun clan would secretly fund and support the Sioux business. Put simply, the Sioux family's success over the past 3 years was nothing but a reward. Shin Ling Xiao had traded his dignity for Guit Lukin Misu, the man in the baseball cap across the table, lowered his voice. Shin Ling Xiao isn't just the Shun family heir, he's also the founder of Ling Xiao Capital. When he was living with the Sioux family, that he used his free time to orchestrate short positions on 3 of the world's top projects. You thought he was slacking off at his desk. Nah, that he was raking in wealth from the entire globe. A bone. Deep chill ran through Sue Moshing. She remembered all the time she'd made Shun Ling Xiao clean toilets, buy coffee for her bodyguards, that even humiliate him in public on their anniversary just to suck up to Luzian. Was he just watching a circus act this whole time? Su Manching let out a bitter laugh, tears spilling down her face. I was screaming and throwing a fit in front of him like a clown. Did he find all of this hilarious? Just then, several black Hongqi sedans with Beijing license plates pulled up smoothly at the office entrance. The doors opened. A sharp, energetic old butler in a tang suit stepped out, followed by 2 highly skilled family bodyguards with prominent, bulging temples. The 3 walked quickly into the elevator, heading straight for the top floor. Inside the top floor CEO's office, Shin Ling Xiao sat behind a massive walnut desk, twisting a solid jade thumb ring between his fingers. Young master, the old butler pushed the door open and bowed deeply at his voice thick with emotion. Your 3-year trial is over. The clan head invites you back to Beijing. Full access to the will has been sent to your personal device. Shin Ling Xiao looked up, his gaze ice cold. Go back to Beijing, back to the family that would send their own son to be a live-in son-in-law for profit. The old butler's face twisted with discomfort. The clan head only did it to temper your resolve. You've proven yourself now. You didn't just keep the Sioux family afloat. You destroyed it with your own 2 hands. That level of ruthlessness is exactly what the Shin clan needs in a leader. Ruthlessness? Shin Ling Xiao scoffed. I destroyed the Sioux family because Sioux Man Chin crossed the line. As for the Shin clan, I spent 3 years as a live-in son-in-law. The man walking back through those doors isn't the same Shin Ling Xiao that took whatever you threw at him. He tapped the desktop projector. The Shin group's tangled, complex equity structure popped up on the big screen. Tell the old man I'll take the I'll come back to the Shin clan, but there's a condition. Every elder that suggested I marry into the Sioux family gets kicked out with nothing. They can go collect scrap in the old neighborhood where the Sioux family used to Live. They love tempering other people. So much that they can get a taste of it. Themselves. Cold sweat drip down the old butler's face. That would likely spark a civil war within the clan. Let it burn. Shin Ling Xiao's gaze was sharp as a blade. I don't mind. Reshuffling the entire Shin clan from the ground up, a commotion broke out outside the door. Right then, Kay, a hacker-looking young guy, knocked and walked in holding a tablet. Boss Shun, .su moshing is downstairs asking to see you. Also, I intercepted a pretty interesting recording. Turns out the Su family didn't make their first fortune clean. Su Menhinges de Sushinda imbezalt. Your mom's overseas inheritance when he was working for the Shun family back in the day. That's the real reason old Mr. Shun made you marry into the Su family. He wanted you to take back what belonged to your mom yourself and bleed the Su family dry without them noticing to atone for their sins. Shun Ling Xiao's hand around his thumb ring clenched so hard his knuckles whitened. He'd thought this was just character building, training. Never knew there was a blood debt over his mother's murder hiding. Behind it all, does Su Mashing know? He asked. Kay answered, per our latest intel, she's totally in the dark. Always thought that money was the Su family's own savings. Shun Ling Xiao stood up and walked the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the endless stream of traffic down below, tiny as ants. Let her up. His voice sounded like it drifted straight off the Arctic ice. I want her to see with her own eyes how much blood that noble blue blood she's always bragged about is soaked in. Minutes later, S.U. Moshing stumbled into the office. Before she could say a word, Shun Ling Xiao slammed a yellowed asset transfer document right in front of her. Shun Ling Xiao, her voice died in her throat as she stared down at the paper. It was dated 20 years ago. The beneficiary was Su Shinda in the original account holder column. Unmistakably read Liwani. Shun, Ling Xiao's mother. Got it now? Shun. Ling Xiao stepped in front of her at his aura so suffocating she could barely breathe. These 3 years that your family didn't take me in. I'm Ling Xiao, the one who carried your sorry family on my back. I gave the Su family one last shot at survival. Too bad that slap you gave me blew that chance to smithereens. Suman. Ching collapsed to the floor, the detective files in her hand spilling everywhere. She finally got it. Real payback's never about violence. It's about erasing every single reason you think you have to exist. Shun Ling Xiao, did you really never love me? Suman. Ching looked up, that tear track streaked all over her face. Shun Ling Xiao stared down at her .0 emotion in his eyes. Maybe 3 years ago, but that feeling died the second you ordered your bodyguard to slap me for Lu Ziong. All I want now is to wipe the Su family off the map entirely. At the 10,000 person general meeting of Su group, that the air was thick enough to choke on, the giant crystal chandelier that once symbolized the Su family's glory glared harshly. Now, Su Man Ching sat dead center of the podium trying to hold onto her last shred of dignity. Thick layers of foundation couldn't hide the dark circles and haggardness under her eyes. Rows of shadowy figures sat across from her. All the Su Group shareholders, big and small, plus staff from the Supervision Bureau and the National Audit Office. Explain yourself. Su, the longest-serving minor shareholder, slammed his fist on the table and shot to his feet, holding up a transfer record with a shaking hand. Why did Lu Xiong's empty shell company get $500 million of our special project fund? Your personal signature is right there. You think we're your personal ATM? Hey, that's standard investment approval. Su Manching's voice was so weak even she didn't buy it. Standard investment. Another female. Shareholders snorted and cast a video. Straight to the big screen. It was security footage from an exclusive private club, Sumanzing Nordet Kordi, at her bodyguards to slap Shenling Xiao, while Lu Xiang laughed cockily with his arm around her shoulders. The footage cut to an office next. A close-up of Su Manqing forging a project proposal for Lu Xiang with her own hands for your male bestie. You not only humiliated our top performer who carried this company on his back, that you're throwing all our hard-earned cash down the drain. Su Mashing stared at the screen, that face as white as a sheet. Turn it off. Turn it off now, she shrieked. Just then, the heavy conference room door slammed open. Two lines of elite black-suited bodyguards with Bluetooth earpieces filed in fast, outflanking both sides of the room. Shenling Xiao walked in slowly against the dead silence. He wore a pure, black bespoke suit, an icy silver trumpet creeper brooch pinned at his collar. Each click of his leather shoes on the floor landed like a hammer blow. On Sununtai Munchinestiest, right behind him, were Gu Qingning. Plus the top legal team of Shun Group. Shenling Xiao.su. Mashing stood up almost on reflex. Shun. Ling Xiao didn't even glance her way. He walked straight to the head seat, reserved for the chairman. A long pulled. The chair opened with a deadpan face and Shun Ling Xiao sat down firmly. MS. Su. Formal notice. He laced his long fingers together on the table. Su Group. Suspected embezzlement and severe financial fraud have triggered Ling Xiao. Capital's mandatory takeover clause. I currently hold 67% of Su Group's shares, which gives me absolute voting power. What? On what grounds? Su Manqing pointed at him, shaking all over. On this, Shenling Xiao gave a small nod. Gu Qingning tossed a thick file folder onto the table. Here's the original. Proof that Su Zhongdao embezzled the Shan family inheritance 20 years ago. Evidence that Lu Xiang colluded with overseas casinos to siphon assets and the full records of you su mashing, abusing your authority to physically assault and repeatedly bully your subordinate Shenling Xiao. He lifted his head, icy, world-ending rage burning deep in his eyes. Didn't you say one? Slap cost 100K. Su Manqing. Ava calculated all the mental and physical humiliation you put me through these 3 years into a debt. It's exactly enough to buy every last bit of property your family has left at the old Su family mansion. All the real estate and cars under your name, even the shoes on your feet now belong to Lin Xiao Group. No, you can't do this. Su Manqing strammet breaking down completely. She spun to face the shareholders. Say something. You built this empire with my dad. All the shareholders ducked their heads, avoiding her gaze. One of them mumbled under his breath, a mess. Su Emerisen promised to fully compensate all our losses as long as we vote to oust you. That's the cold, hard truth. Faced with absolute capital and power, so-called loyalty is nothing but a joke with a price tag. Shun Lin shout at you win. You won hands down. Su Manqing loved it bitterly, snot and tears streaming down her face. You laid low for 3 years just for this moment. I laid low for 3 years because my mom told me on her deathbed that the Su family did her a favor, but I found out the truth. It wasn't a favor. It was a debt. Shun. Lin Xiao waved a hand coldly at the door. Several uniformed investigators stepped forward. Ms. Su Man Ching at Mr. Lu Xiang, you are suspected of massive illegal fundraising and embezzlement. Please, come with us. Lu Xiang had been hiding under the table, in the corner of the conference room. A long dragged him out, by the scruff of his neck. He collapsed, on the floor like a pile of mud dust sharp, stench rising from his crotch. He'd pissed himself in terror. Lin Xiao, brother Shin, that I'll pay you back every cent. Just don't take me away. I'm begging you. Lu Xiang wrapped his arms around Shin Lin Zhao's legs that only for A longed to kick him away hard. Su Man Ting stared at Lu Xiang's groveling, disgusting face, then looked up at the man on the dais that regal as a king. She suddenly remembered all the time Shan Ling Xiao had cooked her hot noodles late at night, that reminding her she had a weak stomach and should drink less. That tenderness had once been her only shot at salvation. Take them away. Shan Ling Xiao spat out the words that no extra. Nonsense. Silence fell over the conference room again. Shen Ling Xiao stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, Gu chiming, handed him a warm cup of coffee to asking. Softly, feel better now? Shen Ling Xiao stared at the roiling sea of clouds. Outside, there was no satisfaction of revenge in his eyes, only a quiet emptiness after release. This is just clearing the field. The real game is in the capital. He picked up the pen on the table and signed the Sioux Group renaming agreement from that day on. There was no Sioux Group in the city that only shuns Ling Xiao. The red carpet for the Global Business Summit runs right through the heart of the city's most iconic twin towers. This is the altar of power, the very pinnacle of wealth. Countless cameras are trained on the end of the red carpet, the press, holding their breath. Today isn't just the first public appearance of Shan Group after its full takeover of Sioux Group. It's also the day the legendary Crown Prince of Beijing elite circles, Shen Ling Xiao, officially steps into his rightful title. Shutters click nonstop as a pitch-black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulls up slowly along the chief bodyguard who once slapped Shen Ling Xiao across the face at a club that now, clad in a top-tier bulletproof suit, eyes sharp as a hawk that respectfully yanks open the rear door. Shen Ling Xiao steps out. He's in a dark swallowtail suit with subtle patterns that the trumpet creeper medallion, that symbol of a Shan clan head's authority, pinned to his chest. He's no longer the doormat, live-in son-in-law of the Sioux family stuck slaving over a stove. He's the absolute overlord whose every move can trigger a financial tsunami. Beside him, a Ji Qingming lynx, arms with him. Her flowing pale gold gown makes her look like a moon goddess. They exchange a smile, their effortless chemistry and regal bearing eating up every inch of camera film in an instant. Mr. Shun, what's your comment on the bankruptcy liquidation of Sioux Group? Mr. Shin, rumors say you were the Sioux family's live-in son-in-law for 3 years. Did that experience affect your business strategy? Shen Ling Xiao stops dead in the center of the red carpet, facing a sea of microphones. His face is cold, his voice booming across the square, through speakers carrying unchallengeable authority. The collapse of Sioux Group is just natural survival of the fittest in the capital market. As for those 3 years, he pauses, a sneer, tugging at the corner of his mouth. That was the most expensive social experiment of my life. It taught me one thing: dignity is never given, it's taken with strength. Right then, a commotion breaks out at the edge of the red carpet. A disheveled woman in a tattered janitor's uniform, clutching a stack of yellowed envelopes, is trying to break through the security cordon. Years of backbreaking labor and mental trauma have left her face gaunt and sallow. No trace remains of the elegance she once had as the Sioux family's eldest miss. It's Sumankin. Thanks to Shan Ling Xiao's pinpoint legal strikes, that every last hidden asset of the Sioux family was seized. though Su Manching avoided a heavy sentence due to insufficient evidence. She stuck with hundreds of millions in joint debt. Now she scrapes by cleaning streets in the old town. Ling Xiao, Shin Ling Xiao look at me. Sumankin Srieks Herboy Scooting. Harshly through the fancy background. Music, Shin Ling Xiao freezes. Along, moves to step forward and drive her off. But Shun Ling Xiao lifts a hand casually to stop him. He walks slowly toward the edge of the red carpet with Gu Qingming, toward the woman who once stepped all over him. That Su Mashing drops to her knees by the cordon, that reaching a trembling hand out to touch Shun Ling Xiao's spotless pant leg. But the second she gets close, the icy aura rolling off him forces her to yank her hand back. Ling Xiao. I know. I was wrong. Please, give the old family house back to me. Okay, am why mom still sick. We have nowhere to live. Su, Mashing sobs, slamming her forehead hard against the concrete. For the sake of those 3 years that you can beat me, slap me, whatever you want. I'll do anything to make you forgive me. Shun Ling Xiao looks down at her from above. There's no hatred in his eyes, not even pity, only the cold indifference of someone staring at a speck of dirt. Su Mashing Dou. Remember the 300,000 you gave me that night? Shun Ling Xiao pulls a check from his pocket, flicks it casually at IT, flutters down in front of her, the sum on it exactly 300,000, no more, no less. This 300,000 is the last handout I'm giving you, my ex-wife, in my capacity as chairman of Shin Group. Use it for your mom's medical bills or buy off that cheap pride of yours. His voice is icy. In my eyes, you don't even qualify for me to bother taking revenge on you. No, Ling Xiao, you can't be this heartless. Shin Ling Xiao paid no more mind to his desperate begging. He turned, took Gu Chining's hand, and strode straight for the grand gate at the very top of the venue. Behind him, Liu Jiong dragged his shattered broken leg, huddled shivering in a dark corner, dodging his creditor's manhunt. Su Mashing clutched that check, cackling like a lunatic as the crowd pointed and whispered at her. The venue gate rumbled shut, sealing off that entire world of filth and regret for good. Shun Ling Xiao stood on the stage, facing the world's top industry titans. He tapped the big screen, and a full map of the global industrial supply chain slowly unfurled. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ling Xiao era officially begins. Over the next decade, we rewrite the rules. He stood dead, center in the floodlights, the Chinese trumpet creeper logo behind him glowing blindingly bright. The man who was once publicly slapped and humiliated had finally clawed his way to the absolute peak of the world, cold and unyielding.